Thursday night, my examiner source, let's call her Sarah, was sitting at her kitchen table. Glass of wine, stack of papers. Her laptop open to a spreadsheet, 212. She had to finish by Sunday, and somewhere in that pile was a student who had studied for 2 years, who had written 4 pages of a brilliant answer. 45 seconds. That's how long she spent on it. Was she marking it the way you think she was? Here's what nobody tells you about IB examiners. Your examiner is not a professor, not a scholar, not genuinely curious about your argument. They're a qualified teacher, well, probably a lot like yours, doing this in their evenings and on their weekends, on top of a full-time job, getting paid by the script, and they have a mark scheme. Not a loose guide, not a suggestion. A mark scheme. Match your words to that document. That's their job. That's it. But here's why this is actually the best news you've ever heard. Once you understand how the game is actually played, you can win it. And Sarah? She told me everything. I asked Sarah one simple question. What is going through your head in the first 30 seconds? She didn't hesitate. I'm looking for whether this student understood what was being asked. Not whether they're smart, not whether they worked hard, whether they understood the question. She told me about a student, a real one, someone she remembered, who wrote nearly 5 pages in a biology paper. Beautiful handwriting, detailed diagrams, clear passion. She gave them 3 out of 10. The question said evaluate, and that student just described. For 5 pages. Never once waited up, never once made a judgment. Sarah said she felt terrible, but the mark scheme was the mark scheme. These are not just words. In the IB, these are commands with specific examinable meanings. If you treat discuss the same as describe, you just failed a question you actually knew. Now here's where it gets interesting. I expected Sarah to tell me horror stories about students. I want to give marks. Every examiner does. When I pick up a script, I am actively hoping it's good. Think about that. The person marking your paper is rooting for you. Rooting for you. When a script uses the right terminology, structures cleanly, she described it as a relief. When it's vague and waffy, she has to find something. Furthermore, as we can see, before anything useful, the students who score highest aren't always the ones who know the most. They're the ones whose answers look like they were designed for a mark scheme. Because they were. The top students have read old mark schemes. They've studied the exact words the IB uses. Literally reverse engineered what a correct answer looks like. It's not cheating, it's the whole game. I asked her one last question before she went back to her marking. What's the biggest gap? The thing that separates a 5 from a 6? She thought about it for a second. Most students who get a 5 have enough knowledge for a 6. The gap isn't what they know, it's that they can't show me they know it in a way I can mark. Let that land. The grade you want, and it's already in your head. The only thing standing between you and that grade is the translation. You know it in your language, you just haven't learned to say it in theirs. And that made me angry. Not at Sarah. At the fact that nobody ever tells students this. So, let me do that right now. 3 things. If you do these, you will score higher. Not maybe. Rule 1. Underline the command term before you write a single word. Write its definition at the top of your page until it becomes automatic, until it's muscle memory. Rule 2. Get the mark scheme for every past paper you do. The IB reuses the same key phrases year after year. Those phrases are worth memorizing more than half your notes. Rule 3. Read your answer back to yourself as if you're Sarah. You're tired. 200 scripts. Can you tick something every sentence? If you can't, rewrite it until you can. That's it. No magic formula. Your examiner is a human being with a document. Your job is to give them something to tick. Sarah went back to her marking that night. 212 scripts by Sunday, but somewhere in that pile was a student who understood the game, who wrote clearly, answered the actual question. She probably finished it in under a minute, but she gave them a 7. That student could be you. Now you know how.